Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to render a car. So in today's video, we're going to take Henrik's sketch and render it out for him. He's a follower from Instagram and he is one of my Patreons. Yeah, first off, let's just look at the sketch that he made, and it's a really nice sketch that he made. I really liked it, and I really liked the front end, but I was confused about what kind of vehicle it was. Yeah, so you can see it's a coupe of some sort because of the small window on the side and the overall profile. But then again, it has the ground clearance of a SUV, and you can tell by the ground clearance because of the line that goes under the car in relationship with the center of the wheel. So it's pretty high. Normally for SUVs you want it higher, or for like trucks and stuff you want it almost halfway, but for coupes and race cars you want it super low to the ground. Or if this was a rally vehicle, you can add the ground clearance, but you would then need to make the wheel wells bigger and the tires a little bit beefier, kind of like a Group B race car or a Group B rally car or WRC rally car. I really like what's going on in the front end. It's like a Renault type of design language. They got this like hourglass looking thing inside of a graphic on the front end. Yeah, so let's get started on what to do next. Yeah, so for this sketch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it into a sports car. Yeah, so I picked an FRS to overlay for this sketch to use as a starting point, as a reference. So I'm using Procreate on my iPad Pro. I'm using 5,000 pixels wide by 2,500 pixels high with a DPI of 150. Yeah, so I decided to make this video different than I normally do. Normally I just take a Procreate file or like a time lapse and I talk over it, but this time I did a screen capture of my iPad while I'm sketching in Procreate. And I think this is better because then you can see everything happening. You can see the tools I'm using, and you can see the layers that I'm doing, and then you can see my brush moving, which I think it's better. So yeah, I take the picture and then I put it off into the side, and then I get the picture of the BRZ and then I resize it to make it fit. So I do my usual like Photoshop or Photoshop technique where I kind of adjusted some of the proportions, or in this case I adjusted the wheels and then I lowered the greenhouse. So yeah, I lowered the opacity, and now I made a new layer, and I start to sketch. What I'm trying to combine the sketch that I see from Henrik, and then at the same time put it on the right package. The advantage of using a photo for reference is you don't need to sit here all day figuring out the perspective. I mean, I know some designers that do it and sit there and tweak and whatever, but some of those sketches, like, they never look right. And as a designer, I think, in my opinion, some people can disagree, but your job is to find the balance between art and design. So it doesn't need to be purely art. And when I say purely art, is you're not trying to show off that you can just draw a car perfectly every time. You're trying to find a good solution for design challenges that the engineering team has presented with you. So I finished the first part of the sketch, and now I'm doing a second pass at it. I set the layer to 50%, and then now I'm doing another sketch over it, fixing my lines. So I use Photoshop and Procreate almost exactly the same, in that I like to rotate the canvas so that my arm is only using one stroke. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't have to, I'm only moving the pen from left to right, and that's it. And maybe sometimes on the finer details I would go in different directions, but for the really fast lines I would try to position the canvas to fit where my elbow pivot is, if that makes any sense. What you don't see here though is I'm also sometimes flipping the iPad on my table too, which is an advantage of sketching on an iPad. You treat it like a sketchbook. So it's a weird thing to do, actually, to turn the sketchbook in the program and to turn the whole iPad to make it, spin also. So sometimes I'll end up with like the tools on one side and then and I'll be like, oh, what am I looking at? So I confuse myself sometimes. Yeah, so now I'm getting into the coloring phase. And the coloring phase is where I always start off with like a gray tone, and then I add color later on. And there's so many different techniques to adding color that I've developed for myself, and I'm pretty sure other people have several different ways. You can apply color like a painter, like you can sketch, like you can just put the color directly onto wherever you think the color needs to be. In this case, I'm doing a grayscale. I'm just reflecting color from the background onto the vehicle. So the vehicle is going to be silver, and then I'm going to reflect color onto it. Yeah, so in this first phase of the coloring, I'm blocking everything out. Blocking the wheels, blocking in the black part of it, and the body, making sure they're on like different layers, so that when you need to select later on, it's easy to select. Yeah, the reason why I'm using red is so you guys can easily see the places that I'm adding color. So now I'm blocking the highlight, and this is the easiest way to apply highlight, actually. And then it lets you plan it out and make it look exactly the way you want it before you go in and make it all fuzzy. And I think this is the part that I kind of failed to mention in my other video when I was rendering black cars. I'll go back and I'll revisit it and make a new video with a much more clear direction on how to do this. But basically, you can see it's just white on a different layer, and I'm blocking it out the way that I think will look, the way I think the highlight would look. Yeah, so at first when I was doing this red, I thought I was gonna make it into like a shadow where it's reflecting off in the distance. I mean, you can make it any color you want, actually, but I was like, okay, well, maybe we could just reflect red. I think that would be a really cool, nice color to add some life into a render. And the way also I pick my colors is I want them to contrast. I want there to be some sort of contrast, whether it be like opposites of each other, or in this case, it's like a primary color scheme where there's red, white, and blue, like the American flag. The reason why I chose blue and red is because one is cold and one is hot, and I think any color schemes that play on contrast like that, I think will make for a really good composition, or it'll make a really compelling composition as far as color goes. So you can even do like opposites of each other, like purple and yellow, or green and red, or blue and orange. But you want to make sure you do it correctly and not just like too much, because then it can look kind of bad. So yeah, again, that red can be white or black. Actually, it can be black. Black would probably be the better choice. Or when I say black, I mean you can use black on that layer and then lower the opacity of that layer down to 40 to 50%. So that way it's not pure black. And when you're doing these sketches and when you do renders, my theory is like you never use 100% black or 100% white. And if you do, you want to use only a little bit of it. So yeah, I mean, right now you see that I'm done with blocking out the colors. I got the blue light on the top, and I got the red light on the bottom. Again, the red can be black or 50% gray or 50% black on a different layer. The white is, I think, 60% white in this case. It might be 100%, I don't remember. But, you know, you never want to use 100% anything because it's too much. Even saturation, you don't want to be 100% saturated. You can see that the red is kind of not 100% red, but it's like kind of dulled down a little bit, and even the blue has been kind of muted a little bit too. In this case, I wanted the red to be a little bit more powerful, and then the blue to be a little bit more subtle or a little bit lighter. So for this next part of the video, I started to do the finishing pass on it, and I forgot to hit record on my iPad. I guess, you know, whatever. So I just kind of took the time lapse from the Procreate file, and I'm going to speak over it and explain exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, you can see now I'm going in and I'm softening everything up. I do that technique again where I, you know, put a blast of white light or black shadow, and then I use the transform tool, and then I erase away the parts I don't need, and then I lower the opacity or increase the opacity to give it more, to make it darker. So right there, to make it look like it's glass, I kind of pictured how the other side would look like I did a copy of the window on the right side, and then I moved it to the left, and then I lowered down the opacity down to like 20 or maybe even 15. So there you have it. So this is my rendering technique that I use in Procreate and Photoshop. If you guys want to learn my style faster, I suggest you guys join Patreon, where you guys get to have access to my PSD or Procreate file and follow along with the video. Remember, if you guys want to join my Discord and submit any of your work, I will be happy to give you guys a little bit of feedback there. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Alright guys, thank you for watching my video. I will be back again with some new stuff.